Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of SquareXO on the news. It's Monday, so that means chart day, but before we start, don't forget that you can follow us at squarexo.co.uk. We're on twitter.com/square_xo, facebook.com/squarexo, patreon.com/squarexo, twitch.tv/squarexo, and of course we're on youtube.com/johansonwater, and most podcast services too, like iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podbean, and hopefully soon Acast too, because we've had a few requests for that. Okay, so we're going to start with today's chart news, and of course Capcom's Resident Evil 2 is the franchise's biggest launch since Resident Evil 7. Apparently the original PS1 Resident 2 game launched back in 1998, and since then the franchise has registered 6 more different format number 1 titles, which is pretty impressive. It's already the biggest launch of the year, although we're only 4 weeks into the year, but still, it's still not bad. And apparently, it's even, like I said, it's the biggest launch since Resident Evil 7. I'm not sure, I think it probably never sold quite as many as that, but it's still done very well. It's number 1 in the charts, of course. Apparently, 74% of games sold at physical retail were on PS4, with 26% on Xbox. So it's pretty dominant on PS4. That's probably the case on digital as well. This doesn't include digital, but so I mean, there's no figures for digital, so I can't say for sure. But the fact that PS4 is really dominating in the UK, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? So let's just have a look at the charts. We've got Resident Evil 2 at number 1, as mentioned. Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 2. Which is pretty good. That's flew up because last week I believe it was number 4 or number 3. Black Ops is number 3. New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, which has been number 1 for quite a few weeks, has fell down to number 4. FIFA 19 is at number 5. Ace Combat, last week's number 2, I believe. That's at number 6 now. Super Smash Bros. Is number 7. Mario Kart, number 8. Grand Theft Auto, number 9. And Crash Bandicoot Trilogy is number 10. So yeah, that's the charts and quite interesting stuff. But I did expect Resident Evil 2 to be number 1, so it's no big surprise, I don't suppose. Next bit of news, we're going to talk about SpiderMan. Something quite interesting happened over the weekend on Twitter. Brian Inthahar, I hope that's how you say it. He's a creative director in Insomniac Games working on Marvel's Spider-Man. He's put out a tweet saying, "Few things are more nerve-wracking than sharing your first story draft to others." Now that's quite interesting, isn't it? Because he's doing a story draft, but for what? Could it be Spider-Man 2 already? It could be. It wouldn't surprise me if he was working on Spider-Man 2 already, considering how well the other one sold. It'd be quite interesting to find out. I don't suppose he'd go to tell us, but obviously these things take time. It's going to probably be a good few years before we see Spider-Man 2, I would think. But obviously they're going to have to start working on it sooner rather than later if one is coming out. So, wouldn't be surprised. Unless of course they're working on some other thing with Spider-Man, like a Avengers or something. I don't know. It's exciting, but we'll find out. Sticking with Spider-Man, there was a new patch released, 1.14. And what this brings is 2 new suits. So you've got the Future Foundation Spider-Man and a bombastic Bagman. There's also a few issues being addressed with this patch. They've addressed an issue where players could not access fast travel from subway entrances, and they've also addressed an issue where the Aaron Aikman armor would not unlock if the player leveled up right after unlocking the suit. So those issues have been fixed. I thought I may as well mention them since I was talking about Spider-Man 2. More news, okay? We're not stopping now. We've got a few more things to talk about. Major Nelson's been talking to Phil Spencer of Xbox about E3 and the podcast, the Major Nelson podcast, and they were just talking about E3, and this is the statement we got out of it, which is quite interesting. Phil Spencer says, "This is going to be a fun E3 for us. We had the discussion internally, should we go big, should we save money? And then he said, no, we're going to do our thing and we're going to go as big as we can. In fact, as big as we've ever been at E3. I love that the opportunity to be with our fans and the industry. We're still going to go through some of the discussions on how much long-term and how much near-term games we talk about. I'm a proponent for being as transparent as can be. I feel really good about our plans. The content that we've been able to talk about will be great, and we'll talk about our future. We'll talk more about Xbox brand means to us. We have millions of Xbox customers. We see them on a phone or another device. We want to make that possible. Now, one of the interesting things about this is he also went on to speak about xCloud, which I've spoken about before, which is Microsoft's streaming service, and he was saying that he's been sitting playing games over the holidays on his phone, Xbox games. So he's been sitting with a controller on his phone playing Xbox games over this cloud. He's saying it's something that everybody will be able to do in the future. This is what I'm saying. It's kind of going that way. Soon you might not need an Xbox console to play Xbox games. You might be able just to grab a controller and play it on your phone. That's the way he sees it. Sure, they're still going to go big in Xbox and playing on TV, but can you imagine everybody just thought, oh, why should I buy a console? I'm just going to play it on my iPad or whatever. And if it works well, people aren't going to care about it anymore, about buying a console. They'll just do it on their phone. So it's quite interesting Microsoft's going that way. He said it could be 5-10 years before everyone's doing it, but still, it's quite interesting that they're certainly thinking about it. Okay, one final bit of news. Plenty of news today. This bit of news is Assassin's Creed 3 could be coming to the Nintendo Switch. According to a listing from Czech retailers, the HD remake for the Nintendo Switch was spotted by a Reddit user, and it's called Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation Collection, and it apparently includes Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation. And there was a little box art, mock-up box art of the Switch and Assassin's Creed Liberation, so I'll post that up just so you can have a look at it. But it's quite interesting. Why they would choose Assassin's Creed 3 and not some of the others, I don't really know, but interesting to find out. Maybe we'll get some others. Assassin's Creed 3 and Switch. I'm sure people would be interested in that, won't they? I'm sure they will. Okay, so that's it for the gaming news today. Quite a bit, like I say. We'll keep bringing you it all week, what we always do. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to follow us all those lovely places I mentioned at the start. And please leave us a like and subscribe, because that would be really brilliant. Thanks for now. Bye.